we were able to place under arrest an individual named Christopher Ferguson, age 41, from Newton. Mr. Ferguson is right now charged with murder, 2 counts of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon causing serious bodily injury, and burglary in connection with the incident that occurred yesterday. I'm going to talk a little bit about the charges. I'm then going to give you an overview of some of the facts, and then I'll be happy to take a few questions. We know that the individuals in that home on Broadway yesterday are one was Gilda Demore, who's 73 years old, who lived in that home. The autopsy has already been conducted on Mrs. Demore. The medical examiner has ruled her death to be a homicide, and a positive identification has been made of her. That is why Mr. Ferguson is charged with just 1 count of murder so far. The autopsies on individuals that we believe to be Bruno Demore, age 74, the husband of Gilda Demore, and Mrs. Demore's mother, Lucia Arpino, who's age 97, we expect to be conducted tomorrow. It is my expectation that following those additional autopsies, Mr. Ferguson will face additional charges for the other individuals. As we discussed yesterday, what we know so far is that about 10:14 yesterday morning, Newton police received a call after a close friend and neighbor of the Demores had entered the house on Broadway in Newton. She was concerned because yesterday morning the couple was scheduled to renew their wedding vows on the occasion of their 50th anniversary at Our Lady's Church. When they did not arrive for the service and the other family members had already gathered, the friend went back to the house to find out where they were and what was delaying them. She entered the house and found those 3 residents with obviously suffering from severe injuries. She immediately called 911, who responded, and the individuals were pronounced dead at the house at 10:20 yesterday morning. All 3 have suffered from apparent knife injuries and blunt force trauma. We know that Mrs. Demore suffered over 30 both stab and blunt force trauma injuries, primarily to the upper part of her body and head. We'll have more information as to the injuries inflicted on the others tomorrow. There were obvious signs of struggle in one of the bedrooms of the home, including broken furniture and a crystal paperweight covered in blood. We also found in the kitchen a knife with red-brown stains. Police further discovered evidence of a forced entry in the basement. One of the windows were open, and a number of the other windows had had the screens pried off and removed from them. The door of the garage, which was in the back part of the house, was also open, and close to that door was one of the screens that had been torn from a basement window. Forensic specialists processed the floor outside of the bedroom where the struggle had taken place. The surface of that floor was a ceramic tile. They processed that floor with leucocrystal violet, a chemical referred to as LBC, that enhances the visibility of non-visible occult blood. They were able, having done that, to find bloody bare footprints on that tile hallway floor. Like fingerprints, the skin of people's feet is unique and leaves an impression that can be compared as well. So they were able to gather a number of those footprints yesterday. They also observed, and as part of the continuing, we do not have the results yet because of ongoing testing, blood stains, passive droplets, consistent with blood dripping from an object near those footprints, and they also were able to recover what we hope will be a number of fingerprints that can be matched from the screens and the windows that were removed. Police immediately began a canvass for video in that area. They were able to obtain a video from the area of 455 Albemarle Road, which is about 4/10 of a mile from the house on Broadway. And it's about 100 yards from what we believe to be the home of Mr. Ferguson on Washington Street. That video shows that at about 5:20 a.m. yesterday morning, Sunday morning, the 25th, A male with no shirt and no shoes was walking with what appeared to be a staggering gait. Several officers, when shown that video, were able to make an identification of the individual depicted on the video as Mr. Ferguson, who was known to them. They continued with that investigation and ultimately were able to focus on Mr. Ferguson as we began continuing to gather that information. Late this afternoon, the lab was able to match one of those footprints taken from the tile hallway floor to an impression taken from Mr. Ferguson. That is what led to obtaining the warrant for him. What I've described to you is a short summary of what has really been tireless work by both the Newton Police Department, State Police, and our DAs who work in our homicide unit in this office. I think none of us who were here yesterday who heard about the family gathering at the church waiting to celebrate a very joyous occasion, having beloved family members not show up, then learning about the deaths, did not have a sense of the great tragedy and loss that occurred. And this kind of work, this kind of really dogged gathering of evidence and processing in this short a period of time in an attempt both to determine what happened to these family members and also to restore a sense of safety to the members of the community who yesterday we could not make that same assurance to, has led to the charges this afternoon. So I want to give great credit to all of the individuals who've worked since yesterday, and particularly to the Massachusetts State Police Forensic Crime Lab, who did the processing of that evidence. As I indicated, it is my expectation that tomorrow we will have additional information regarding the injuries sustained by the other victims. I do anticipate additional charges. At this time, we know of no established connection between the family members and Mr. Ferguson. And I also point out that although the family is incredibly grateful for the support they have received from this community, which has been their home all of their lives, they are asking for privacy in these difficult days as they deal with the news of what has happened and prepare burial services for their family members. I want to thank the members of this community who showed great patience in the aftermath of this incident as we work to determine what had happened. We're also very thankful to the residents of both the Nonantum and Newtonville neighborhoods who spoke freely and were incredibly helpful to the investigators, both in terms of the work that was being done yesterday in a very hot and stormy day, and who also were useful in checking all of the video that they might have had and making available to us video that had been gathered. This was a careful, thoughtful, and relentless investigation, and it required the collaboration of multiple agencies. Typically, when we are in a situation where we are responding to this kind of tragedy, we are also joined by Mayor Ruth Ann Fuller. Although she cannot be here in person, she did ask that I convey, again, both her sympathy to the family as well as her gratitude to the community of Newton for once again coming together and helping us in dealing with this situation, and as well as express the great pride she has in the public safety agencies here who accomplished this work in such a short period of time. I am going to turn it over to the chief to talk a little bit about the police response. We'll then hear from President Albright, and then I'll be happy to take a few questions.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is John Carmichael. I'm the police chief of the Newton Police Department. I just want to say that on behalf of the Newton Police Department and on all of us here tonight, as well as Mayor Fuller, who, as mentioned, couldn't be here tonight, unfortunately, that we send our sincere condolences to the family. And we're very happy that tonight we're here to report that we will be able to see justice for these victims. I believe that our neighborhoods are safer tonight here in Newton because of the hard work and dedication that has been exhibited by members of the Newton Police Department, the District Attorney's Office, as well as the Massachusetts State Police. This was an incredible show of collaboration and partnership that reached a very successful conclusion, which I think that we're all very happy about. As the DA mentioned, this was a very collaborative effort between multiple agencies as well as our community, and I think we're just very happy to report tonight that this will come to a successful conclusion. Newton is a safe city. However, this is a reminder that senseless acts of violence do take place in cities such as ours. But it is very important that we remain vigilant and we we maintain some level of awareness in the community and watch after each other, and identifying things that might appear suspicious in our neighborhoods and reporting those things, and working together as a strong community to make sure that things like this don't happen. I want to thank DA Ryan, her team, as I mentioned, the state police, and our officers from the Newton Police Department. They, regardless of each role that each individual played, every single role was vital, whether it was our Community Services Bureau helping us set up tents down there so that we could stay out of the heat and the rain, to our dispatchers fielding many calls that were flooding into the police station, all of the officers that guarded the crime scene tape. Whatever their role was, it was very vital to the success and the final conclusion of this situation. So I'm very grateful for them for everything that they did. I'm very happy to report now that we will bring a violent criminal to justice. We will seek justice for the victims and hopefully provide at least a little bit of solace for this family, following just such a senseless act of violence. As I've mentioned, I've seen some exceptional police work, some exceptional teamwork and partnerships and collaboration, and I'm very grateful as a chief to have been a part of this whole investigation and final conclusion. As I also want to mention something that's very important. On Wednesday evening at the Horace Mann Elementary School, it would be in the auditorium, 225 Nevada Street, from 7 to 8:30, we're going to come together as a community. We are going to be working with Riverside Community Services, our Health and Human Services in the City of Newton, the Newton Police Department, including our clinician, and we're going to sit down and have a community conversation and relative to our response to this, as well as how we heal as a community following such a tragic event. So I wanted to mention that on behalf of the mayor and the Newton Police Department. So thank you very much.